Welcome back to the channel, guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode. And on this one, we've got ourselves a 2011 Ford Kuga. This has got a 2-litre diesel engine in there. I believe it's a Peugeot one, and the automatic power shift transmission. If you own one of these, I'm sorry. So this car is my absolute nemesis. I'm sure of it. It hates me. I don't particularly like it either. This is my sister's car. So to give you a little bit of a backstory, I bought this a couple of years ago as a non-runner. The starter motor had failed and it had wiped out the main battery fuse. So I replaced the starter motor and the battery fuse, got it running, and I just thought I'd give it a good service, make sure everything was okay on it. It needed an MOT as well, so I wanted to check everything over beforehand. So I went to drain the oil out of it, and I think there was something like 10 or 15 litres of oil, and I think they hold about 6. So upon further investigation, it looked as if somebody had kindly hacked the DPF out of it and then hadn't deleted that out of the ECU. So the car was just constantly trying to do a regen and was just pouring diesel into the engine. That's getting past the piston rings and then into the sump. After we took the DPF out and confirmed that that was an issue and the fact that the guts had been knocked out of it, we then replaced the DPF on it. We put some oil back into the car just to make sure that that was all okay, and then just gave it a test drive just to make sure everything was working as it should. And what we did notice was that it looked as if the ECU had been remapped as well. And because these gearboxes on these aren't particularly strong anyway, I basically just got the map taken back off so that it was back to standard, because I didn't want to basically put any undue stress on it. My sister's just using this car to get from A to B. It certainly doesn't need to be a powerful or fast car, so we made the decision to do that. We were taking care of some other bits and pieces on the car, and I had a couple of injectors that were leaking, so we went down the route of trying to get those injectors out. Long and short of it, they would not come out. I ended up taking the cylinder head off. I put the cylinder head in a press to try and see if I could get them out. One of the injectors had put over 20 tons on it. It still wouldn't come out. I was there for days trying to get this thing out before I took the head off. Then we took the head off. We didn't get anywhere with it. So I ended up putting a second-hand head on there, had all the valves out, had it all pressure tested, skimmed, had all the valves relapped, new valve stem oil seals, new head gasket, water pump, timing belt kit, full service, MOT, loads of bits and pieces on it. And then it's not been too bad. Every now and again, there is I don't know whether it's an instrument cluster issue or something to do with the central electric module, basically the fuse box that's under the passenger seat. I don't know if there's an issue going on there. It doesn't happen all that often. But the reason we've got the car today is I was halfway through tiling my sister's bathroom and she wanders in and says, "Just to let you know, my car's broken." So I said to her, "Do you mind if I finish tiling the bathroom first?" So I put that to one side, and now what we've got to do is have a quick look at this, because I've lent her my car, and I would quite like that back because I don't want to drive this. So there's two issues, as I mentioned. We've got an engine light on. I have already scanned the car. I did that previously. It's come up with an airflow meter issue. So I did a smoke test on the car, and it's revealed that actually one of the boost pipes for the turbocharger is leaking. So we do need to take that off and have a look. The starter motor did fail probably about 4 to 6 weeks ago. So I did replace the starter motor on it for just a OE quality starter motor, and I did wonder maybe I'd got an issue there with that particular starter, so I swapped it out for another one, because when you start it, it sounds like a bag of nails. It's not that. It looks as if the ring gear is actually worn. So what I'll do is I'll pull the car over slightly. You can have a listen to it when I first start it up, and then what we need to do is get that boost pipe off, get that ordered, and we're going to have to take the gearbox out to get to the ring gear. So I thought I'd bring you along with this one, so hopefully you can enjoy my ongoing suffering, because as I say, me and this car don't get on particularly well, and I'm also doing this for free. Oh, that does not sound good. I've left the engine covers off, they're just in the footwell because I thought, well, I've got to do more work on it, so I'll just leave them off. It is the boost pipe tucked down here, so it's the one that goes from the throttle valve here down to the intercooler in there. Because we've got to take the car up and obviously get the gearbox out and all of this stuff out and all the things on the underside, just sort of take the undertray off and probably get it out from the underneath. It's probably going to be a bit easier to do that. So I'm going to jack the car up, get the wheels off, get the undertray off, make a start. So I've jacked it up pretty high so that hopefully I can then get the gearbox out from the underneath. I've just put 2 axle stands on the rear sub, or on the subframe there, sorry, on the back of the front subframe, and then 2 further axle stands just on the jacking points of the seals. I wouldn't normally use 4, but it's just because I'm quite high. I just think, well, I don't particularly want this car to fall on me if I can help it. I'm just going to get the under tray off there. It's just a load of T30 Torx bits. Hold that on. So we have got a bit of chassis anti-corrosion fluid, otherwise known as an oil leak. The boost pipe is that one there, and somebody's kindly put the Jubilee clip the other way around, so trying to get that off will be good fun. One thing I did notice about this when I got this car is put the ECU for the engine in the near side rear wheel arch, near side front wheel arch. That's not a very bright idea. And this particular one did look like this outer plastic boxing had been hit with a cricket bat. So I did replace that, and it does come with these particular like security Torx screws that when you do them up, get to a certain point and they shear the head off, then you have to drill them out the plastic box. So I didn't fancy doing that if I ever needed to come back to it, so I just put some nuts and bolts in there. So I've got the gearbox all here, so I'm going to drain all the fluid out, the transfer box for the four-wheel drive system up there, so you can sort of take these off, pull them out of the way. It's a bit like doing a front wheel drive gearbox, so got all that to look forward to. So I'm going to see if I can wangle this boost pipe out of here, or at least undo it there, but the split, don't know if you can see it, hopefully I'll be able to, right there, it's got a nice big split in the boost pipe, right there, probably 1.5 to 2 inches long. So we get that out, take a closer look. That's the pipe now out. Might be able to see that a bit closer there. There's our split, and as I mentioned, it just comes off that throttle valve. It's just Jubilee clip holds that on, and same down the bottom. I probably should have done the top side of all of the gearbox side of stuff before I jack the car up. Normally I tend to do all the stuff up here first and then go underneath. I've already jacked it up, so it's a little bit high. I'm just going to get myself a little hop up. I'm going to take things like the battery out, battery tray, air filter assembly, just start unplugging stuff on the top here. If I can get some of the bell housing bolts from up here, I'll do that. Just make a good start up here, and then underneath we can then take things like drive shafts out and all of that stuff a bit later on. There is just an electrical plug as well on the airbox for the airflow meter. You just gently get that off. DPF pressure sensor is also attached to the airbox up here. There's just one 8mm nut that I've just taken off. I've just screwed the nut back onto the thread. I have also broken free the three bolts that hold on this battery tray. They're just 10mm ones. They do get a bit rusty where they sit under the battery, so I've just broken those off, and I'm just going to wind them out with the battery ratchet. Take that out the way, and then what I will do is the clamp and the two nuts that hold that clamp on can go on the top, and then all of that stuff stays together then. What we then have is the gear selector cable. So there's just a piece that you push down on there. That's going to pop that off of that ball there. This wiring loom that runs across here isn't going to cause us any issues. I may take this top bit off here, I'm not too sure yet. I probably will need to do that to get to the mount maybe. And then with the bit that holds the cable into this mount, you sort of just pull this white section or twist it and it pops out. I'm probably going to need two hands to do that. And then you've got the electrical plug connector there into the gearbox. So we just gently try and lift that up. There we go. That plug out the way. What I'm going to do when the gearbox is right out the way, I'll cover that plug up. This is the intake for the airbox. I'll cover that as well, because they're not going to be putting the gearbox in or back in immediately, because I'm going to need a ring gear for it. But we just need to try and make our lives as easy as possible. This here is the breather pipe for the gearbox, so again we can leave that on there, or potentially we could just take that out of there and pull that off. I may well do that, just make it a little bit easier. And then we can start undoing the bell housing bolts, which are tucked just underneath here where they join onto the engine there. Oh, look at that, a free M8 nut. So I've now taken that top section off that holds the airbox and the battery tray, and then when the time comes we'll take the engine mount off. I've undone all the bell housing bolts at the top here. There's only a couple up here, and then there's just two of the starter motor bolts that mount that to the bell housing, and then there's one that we probably may access from the bottom. So now I think what we can do is start doing some work, taking the wheels off, getting the drive shafts out, or just having a look underneath and seeing if there's some bits that we can do under there. I'll just go round and take the wheel off on the other side. I'm now going to take the wheel arch shroud out on this side. I don't always do this, but because we're working on the floor, I think it's just going to be a bit easier. Sometimes if you're just working directly underneath on a ramp, it's not so important, or the access is a bit better. So I think rather than struggle, we just take this out. So just a couple of little trim clips on the wheel arch. Those are T30s. It's like a 10mm there, so somebody's potentially lost a T30 at some point. And we're just going to gently work this out from behind the trim here. Oh, just got one more underneath. There we go. That out, blimey. Ready? It's a bit easier. Now I've got to sweep all that out of the way, perfect. So we've now got our drive shaft nut. These are normally like a 30mm. Down in here, we've got this Torx bolt with a nut on the other side. That just holds the ball joint in, so we can pop that out, pop the lower arm ball joint out and pull the drive shaft out. Probably am going to think about draining the oil before doing that, so I might look at doing that in a second. Nice and clean that oil, which is good. And let that drain off. Bloody hell, we'll get this socket right in a minute. now got the pinch bolt out, just screwed the nut back on there, plenty of WD-40, and just be gentle with those. Then I'm going to try and now pop the lower arm out. I won't worry about filming the other side because it's pretty much just rinse and repeat. So we'll get this side out first. So I'm just going to unclip the brake hose as well from its mounting, because when I pull this hub out, I don't want to put any pressure or too much pressure on that. Just also want to be careful of the rubber dust cover on the bottom arm there. With any luck, might be able to just gently lever the drive shaft out. Get a smaller bar for that. So I'm now going to take this boost pipe all out of the way. Drive shaft's now out of here. The only difference on this side really is obviously the drive shaft's a bit longer, and there's a clamp that holds this in with a centralising bearing there. I would recommend you just take that boost hose off first, because it's a bit awkward to get to the upper nut there. So we've just got Jubilee clip up the top, 8mm bolt there, another Jubilee clip which they've put the awkward way round, so we can get that off, give us a bit more access. The next thing I think I'm going to do, got the bottom starter motor bolt somewhere around here, I think there. But so I can take that out, move the starter out of the way, and then what I think I'm going to probably do is the transfer box is here. So you've got some mounting bolts here, then at the back this drive shaft mount also helps support it. What I think I'm probably going to do is undo the Allen key bolts that hold the prop shaft onto this. They do look a little bit worn, so I'll try my luck with those. If not, then maybe what I'll do is undo this and just pull it to one side. I'd rather get it out of the way and not leave too much pressure on that prop shaft joint. So I'm going to try and get up to those. They're just sort of tucked behind here. See if I can get those undone first, and then look at undoing this lot. I now need to undo all of the throttle valve here, because I need to get the starter motor out of the way, because tucked behind where the starter motor is where you access the bolts to undo the ring gear or the torque converter from the engine, because what we don't want to do is pull that off, pull that gearbox off and potentially damage that. So just need to undo all of this lot. Voila. It may well be that we didn't necessarily need to take that out of the way and that we could access it from underneath, but I just thought, I've had it off so many times, I know how it comes off. It's much easier for me to just do that. So I've then just got the main power supply for the starter motor. So I've got a 10 and a 13. The main power and the switching solenoid. On starter. I've now managed to get out all 6 of these Allen key bolts that hold the prop shaft on, and they are quite badly chewed up, as I mentioned, so I've just written them onto the list. I'm going to get some new ones of them. I've now just broken free these transfer box bolts, those two there. Need to undo that one. Going to get this shield out the way as well, because I think that's going to be in the way. And I can pull all of that assembly out. There's another bolt tucked right up there, which is helpful. But, you know, grab that one, pull all of this thing out in one go, hopefully. Just pop the top bell housing bolt off that's up there. Got that out of the way. Just undoing this little 7mm bolt. It just holds this little plastic housing on, or plastic cover should I say. I have also undone the final starter motor bolt, so that's now out of the way. So you can now see the ring gear there. I don't know if the camera will quite make it out, but you can see it's starting to chew itself up. So you do need to. Now hopefully you can see where that cutout is behind the starter motor there. That's where we're going to turn the engine over and get to the torque converter bolts. But hopefully as well you can now start to see a bit more of the ring gear and where it's starting to chew itself up. So I'm going to get all of those bolts undone that bolt it to the torque converter. Then there's not too much left really. There's a couple of bell housing bolts and there is the oil filter for the cooler. If we just pop round in here, you've got your little filter system there. I'm going to take that off because that looks like it's primed to become damaged if we try and get the gearbox out and we're swinging the gearbox and engine around with that there. So I've now got the engine crane and I've just got that attached to that back engine mount or engine eye there, and then underneath I've got a trolley jack just with a block of wood there, and that's now taking the pressure off of the gearbox mount here, so I've been able to lift that up. I'm going to undo the gearbox mount, take that out of the way, slowly lower the engine down and the trolley jack, and then what we'll do is we'll take the final bolt out. I was looking for the torque converter bolts that bolt it to internally, but it appears on this particular model, the earlier Cougar, they don't have that. They just have a spline like you do on your traditional clutch, so we haven't got to worry about those, so we can crack on and get that out of the way. So I'm just bit by bit going down with the engine crane and then the transmission jack, or just a standard jack, trolley jack. Get the final bolt out that holds that top mount on, or the casting. This gearbox is going to be so heavy. Really looking forward to it. Not. Takes a real while. I'm just continually sort of going around checking I'm not fouling on anything or damaging anything. I really don't want to break anything and end up with more to repair. engine crane is currently slack. I'll just check I've done it up. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just slowly keep going down with the engine. You need to be careful as well with this engine mount. I don't want to go too mad and rip all of that engine mount up as well. There will come a point where it'll probably come to its resting, natural sort of resting position. Now we've got the gearbox right out of the way. We have had to use a bit of ingenuity here to hold the engine up. So I want to be able to shut the bonnet back down. I can leave this strap on there, that's not a problem. I'll put the headlight back in because that's just a couple of clips. And then the only final thing we've got left to do before we jump on to getting some parts is we just got to undo all these Torx bits that hold the starter ring gear on there. Obviously I've got some engine number by the looks of it, date of manufacture 14th of 3rd 2011, so that is the standard factory fitted one, just not had one since. Hopefully I can grab a part number off of that. That may well just be it there. And get that off. I'll give you a closer look at those ring gear teeth now that it's out. So hopefully you can just see all like these teeth here, all kind of like folded over, chewed up. So we've now finally managed to get the gearbox out of the car. We've taken the flywheel off of the end of the crankshaft there, and we've confirmed that that ring gear is well and truly knackered. So what I'm going to do now is have a good clear up. I've got to put the engine crane away, my tools, put the gearbox away. Then I'm going to jump on the internet and see what bits I can get ordered for this. So then in the next episode, we can look at putting this back together. So I'm going to leave it there for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.